तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलम् सर्वदी साक्षिभूतम् भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि.
We welcome all the Shri Mahants, Mahants, Kotaris, Tanedars, Samajis, Satsangis, visitors and viewers to this Vakyata Satas conducted by the Balasans of Nityananda Gurukul. The topic for today's Vakyata Satas is what Swamiji spoke in the morning satsang.
So, I have a question. What did Swamiji exactly mean by nitty-gritties of Shaktipada?
What I understand as nitty-gritties of Shaktipada is that the small aspects of Shaktipada. See, Shaktipada is not a small subject. It is literally like saying, okay, I'm going to talk about life. Life is something huge. In that, there are different aspects of life. And when Swamiji says, today I'm going to talk about the nitty-gritties of Shaktipada, he's basically telling different aspects of Shaktipada. Like today he talked about the education aspect, which is completely true. Only when we use our brain in like a more efficient way rather than mugging up the already known stuff on Google and on the internet, then we can have our brain used for manifesting powers.
What I understand what Swamiji meant by today I'm going to speak about the nitty-gritties of Shaktipada is he's going to speak about one of the small details that are there as part of Shaktipada.
Adding on to what Shambhu and Tripura said, nitty-gritties of Shaktipada is like the parts in which Sadashiva is going to describe about Shaktipada and the small things in which we learn about just to be in Shaktipada.
So Tripura told that instead of just mugging up whatever is there already in Google, he can use our mind in a more efficient way. What is that more efficient way we can use our mind in?
See, what I understood from what Swamiji said is when we have Google to help us do all the research we need, or when we have a calculator to help us solve all the math problems, then what are the use of sitting and memorizing all the tables? 1 into 1 is 1, 1 into 2 is 2. Why do you need to sit and memorize all that? Instead, we just have to use Google, and whatever questions we have, whatever Google can answer, we can use Google in that way. That is how we use our mind in an efficient way. So basically, any opportunity that we have, rather than sitting and mugging up, and wasting your time, you just have Google. Anything you ask, it'll just give you the answer. The only thing which Google does not give you is initiation and power manifestation. So that let's learn from Swamiji. But otherwise, any academic things or anything else like that which Google can answer, why do we need to sit and memorize? Instead, we can ask Google.
Adding on to what Mama Maheshwara said, what I'm able to understand by using your brain efficiently is that the basic levels, the first 12 years of your life, you spend learning absolutely useless things that we don't really need in real life. Maybe 1% of it is actual useful things that like how to spell and do basic math. But beyond that, it's stuff that we might not use in our daily life, and it is wasting a lot of time. So by being Google confident, you can like research about the things you need to at like instant, and you get results quickly. So therefore you can go to higher and higher levels of research on your own, the topics that interest you. You don't waste time and memory and space in your brain just to learn things that are absolutely not required for your future growth in life in general.
So I have a question. If Google can help us in each and every single question we have, then how do we even type? For that we need some basic, we need to know some basics. So why did Swamiji tell that everything we can search on Google itself, we don't need to like really put efforts on that? See, even if you need to learn how to type, you already have so many people all around you. All you have to do is just either ask them, or you yourself go onto Google and learn how to type. Or even if you don't know the spelling, you just type it. Google has the auto spell check, and it will do its own correction. So all you have to do is just type it into Google. Basically, the education system which Swamiji is trying to bring is that when we use our mind efficiently and just break the whole idea of mugging up, that is when we start actually learning more than what we learn in school.
If anyone there has any questions, they can put in the comment section below. We'll be able to answer them.
Adding on to how to Google, generally even when we start off with alphabets, anything we start off, we never are perfect. Like Swamiji said, just starting itself will take you to the next level. You just have to just put in your effort, say, okay, this is Google, everyone knows what Google looks like, and trial and error, and you slowly learn what is the right way to search, how to do advanced searches. You can Google how to Google as well. So you can use the opportunity given to you to learn so many different things just by, searching on Google.
So I have a question from what Swamiji spoke in today's satsang. So today's satsang, Swamiji was speaking that he was telling that when someone receives true love from another person, their cognition of life is an enemy just loses itself, forgets itself. So I want to know how exactly does love literally gets that cognition of life is an enemy redundant.
So now you yourself think, why do you feel that life is an enemy? Because you feel that no one is loving me. What is the meaning of a friend? When someone loves you truly and they are ready to give up anything for you. That's the cognition of a friend. So enemy is the exact opposite of that. So when you don't feel that completion in the love aspect of your life, then only the feeling that life is an enemy starts. So when you get the true love that you always desire for, automatically that whole cognition disappears.
And one main thing is that whenever you go for any darshans in front of Swamiji and he gives you that big hug and says, I love you, that moment you're being you don't have any thoughts at that time. Your being just clicks that, it just clicks that, yes, he is the one who loves me, the ultimate itself loves me. And at that time, whatever powerlessness you have, maybe you must have given Swamiji a note about your health issue, or you must have given Swamiji a note about your problems happening in day-to-day life, your relationships, job, whatever. But at that moment when he gives you that loving hug and says, I love you, dear, or whatever, you just forget all of that and realize that, yes, life is so joyful and blissful. And that's what Swamiji meant by love can remove that cognition that life is an enemy.
Like how what Swamiji told today morning, the real love is when they'll be able to give anything for you. They do anything just for you. So that is what I feel as the real love, and you have no other second thought. You'll give up anything, whether it's something in the morning or in the middle of the night also. The real love is when you just shower all your compassion and everything which you have towards yourself to them.
What I took from what Swamiji said was, when someone loves you, they give you their attention, and all humans want, and all we live for is attention. And even as children, most of our root patterns that develop as we grow older is because we lack attention in our family. Maybe our parents are busy or something else. So just by giving someone love, you're giving them attention, and attention is life. So when you give someone attention, you give them life, and therefore all the negativity they've ever had, any root patterns of feeling sad, all of it just dies down completely, and their life just turns into a positive direction.
So if any of you who are watching this live video, if you have any questions, any comments, please put in the comment box so that we can answer your questions and answer your doubts.
So I have a question. So Ma Vedarupa told that when you give someone attention, the feeling of enmity, life is enemy, disappears. So are you telling that love is equal to attention?
Love is giving. See, if you don't, when you love someone, you are giving them attention in some form. It might not be like equivalent to attention. You're just giving them attention. So, like, if I love someone, you give them your life. You say, okay, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna take care of you, and you understand them and give them time from your life. And time from your life is attention. So that's what I'm able to take from that.
Adding on to Ma Vedurupa's point, attention in the sense like it's not like fully giving the attention. A part of you which automatically gives the attention to the person who you love. It automatically happens. It's not something that happens because you really force yourself to do it, but it spontaneously happens because it's a true love.
So, but in the Guaranteed Solution book, Swamiji tells that attention never fulfills anyone. It just makes them feel more and more insecure that anytime you can take your attention from them. So that's why I don't understand how can attention be love, because love will remove the feeling that life is an enemy. But when you give them more and more attention, more insecurity might come in them that anytime you can take your opinion, your good opinion about them.
So my understanding on this love and attention aspect is that, yes, as everybody in this Vakyartha Sadas was telling, love is not equal to attention and neither vice versa. But what happens at one point is that in the name of love, people start giving so much of attention to the other person. See, love is nothing but, see, the two types of love, compromising love and uncompromising love. Even though the other person does a mistake or does something not in non-integrity or inauthentic, you like being ferocious with them and making them come back to their real integrity is the real love. But what happens over time is that we start giving too much importance to attention, which means that even though they do a mistake or even though something really wrong they've done, we start like telling, oh, it's okay, I love you, right, I won't do this, and like I won't scold you or anything. And that's what they start getting scared that, okay, if this person's attention goes away, then I won't be able to survive. Like they won't be able to handle the inauthenticities of life at that time, because the ferociousness is not given at that time. The real love is not given.
And ultimately, adding to her point, I feel that when someone receives the true love, they will get so empowered that they will do anything to make this love happen in their life. Make anything happen just for receiving the true love. So I feel that when someone receives the true love, they get empowered. They get more powerful.
So what I feel is, like when you give love, it'll be like just full of compassion, and anything which happens, you'll just be ready to make them restore again. But if it's attention, whether they become powerless or anything, you might speak to them and you might give them so much of attention, but it won't help them much.
What I feel about this love and attention is, see, attention might not be the whole of love, but attention is a part of love. See, for example, a person who has been suffering so much, in the beginning, only if you give him attention, he even understands that you love him. Whether it is uncompromised compassion or a compromised compassion, I feel that in the beginning, attention is needed to heal the other person.
Trying to wrap up this thing what I think at the end of it, uncompromised love can only be given by your master. He does not hold anything back. He does not look at you as a person and ask you questions or expect anything from you. He just gives it to you wholeheartedly, and that sort of love brings complete completion to you in every aspect of life. And when you take that kind of love, that's your master giving you some sort of attention. Like if you go out for a darshan and he blesses you, spend some time, talks to you, be like, Kanna, how are you doing? That itself is giving you attention in a positive direction. So that sort of attention is, linked with uncompromised love.
So I just got a click when Madhura told it. So what I feel is like when you give love, unconditional love, it is like completion. But when you give attention, it's like consolation.
So I have a question. Swamiji said when it goes from that side to this side, then it's completion, and when it goes from this side to that side, it's power manifestation. What does Swamiji mean by that?
So what I feel is when you show your love from your side to him, then it becomes this completion. You feel more complete with yourself. When he shows his love from that side, automatically you'll start manifesting powers.
What I feel is Swamiji told in today's satsang, for example, the Ganga and the Calcutta. See, like for example, from our side, the love from our side which goes for Swamiji is like love. But the love from Swamiji which comes to us is power manifestation. See, that is Shaktipada, right? So when we connect to Swamiji, we are able to, whether it is third eye or any other power manifestation, when we connect to him, the power happens.
Adding to Machila's point, this morning Swamiji said when we give Swamiji love, it's like Ganga flowing into the ocean, like a small unit going into the ultimate. But when it's Swamiji giving us love, it's like the ultimate, the ocean itself, the sea just coming in, flowing into Ganga and purifying it. So that sort of aspect of love cannot be expressed. Like when your master gives you love, it is not expressible by human terms at all. We're not even able to cognize it.
If any of the viewers who are watching this Vakyathasatas have any questions, they can post in the comments below and we'll answer it for you.
Okay, I have a question. Today Swamiji was speaking about love in today's satsang, right? What actually is true love?
What I understand as true love is when someone gives you the love or the feeling that you are getting what you want, but without compromising on the integrity of your life. When they give you, they only tell things to you, they only do things to you that will help you evolve more to enlightenment. That is what I feel as true love.
Adding on to Shambha's point, many people use the term love at first sight, or the first time I saw that person, I just fell in love. That love which I cognize, that first sight love, is when your being instantly connects to the other being. It can be that you both have the same passions, or you both love to do the same things or something like that. But when both of your beings instantly connect, that's how Swamiji is loving each and every person around the whole universe, because he connects to each and every being. Every being feels so personally loved by him, and so as if he gives attention only for them, because he connects to every being so deeply and he knows the being completely. And that's what I feel is like the love at first sight which many people talk about.
Adding to her point, what I feel is that love is when, from your side, when you have that love for Swamiji, and your being is fully connected with Swamiji, and that completion happens between you and him. And I feel that when that completion happens, Swamiji instantly gives back power manifestation to you. And it's just like saying, I love you back to you. So what I feel is that when you receive the love from Swamiji, you'll get empowered with powers itself.
So what I feel as true love is when you give your whole life to the other person and you are completely integrated to that other person.
So what I feel is when you are able to, suppose if they do anything inauthentic, you're able to directly come and tell them, and you will give your whole life literally just for them to become authentic, like to like how Swamiji is. So nothing stops you from being open with them and they being open with you.
Another aspect I'd like to bring in is when Tripura said love at first sight. And she said people fall in love. It's the love that you receive from your master is not when you fall in love, you rise in love. Because when you fall in love, you tend to fall into a pit you don't know what to do with your life. You're like, you really have no clarity after you fall in love. You're just like, should I do something? Should I not do something? That person's not talking to me. You have zero clarity, and if that person does not attend to you at every moment of your life, you are completely powerless. But the aspect of rising in love is when you, as an individual, connect with your, like, your soul connects with, like, the ultimate cosmos. Like Swamiji's love that he gives you, you rise in love because he fulfills every desire you have. He will fill you completely, and you're never powerless, and he never lets you down. Even if you're not physically able to contact him and talk to him, he'll send you little notes, and like you'll find either a jula like moving and a song playing, or you'll find miracles happening whenever you need him. Like, that's the concept of rising in love.
So what I feel as the essence of today's Vakyatha Satas is, if you want to come and experience the unconditional love that will help you get enlightened, come here, attend Inner Awakening or Sadashivatva. So just Adinam Chalo.
With this, we come to the conclusion of today's Vakyatha Sadas, and we'll explore into deeper truths in further Vakyatha Sadas or further satsangs. So with this, we conclude with the Purna Mantra.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sadguru Padukarpanamastu.